What did I always tell you?
To never trust anyone.
Least of all family.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's GSR here. So basically I wanted to talk to you guys today about the one and only Noob Saibot and get my thoughts on his character. So the first thing we're going to talk about is his Fatal Blow. So this Fatal Blow tracks you. He is really minus on block just like all the other Fatal Blows, but the problem is that there's too much pushback on it and there's too much block stun. So it's very hard to punish this character when he goes for it. And like I said, it tracks you, has a startup time of 28 frames. He gets a good amount of hit advantage to where he can go for his back forward too and throw out projectiles at you from this range. Especially if you're low on health, you might end up dying off of it because his projectiles give him like really good damage, right? So just keep that stuff in mind, right? So what else is there? When he goes for his forward throw, right, his forward throw and back throw have access to a crushing blow, but as you can clearly see here, he gets a good amount of hit advantage to where he can start up his zoning game. When he throws you behind him, right, this is different. He can either throw a projectile at you or he can take it upon himself to dash up really quickly and go for his back three, and you kind of get the idea with that situation. Now, like I said, both of his throws, forward throw and back throw, have access to a crushing blow that does massive amounts of damage, so you need to take this under consideration. And now we're going to go on to the character's pokes. When he goes for his pokes, he has really good range on most of his pokes. This one's really good to use for the close range engagements. As you can clearly see here, it's very short range, just like Sub-Zero's down one. And there's a certain thing that I'm going to show you guys very soon here, but his hit advantage is 11 frames, which is really good because then he can actually jail you off of his 2-1-2 string and create a mind game with his throwing situation. So let me further explain what I mean by this, right? So if Sub-Zero took it upon himself to, try to neutral crouch and get an uppercut, right? Because he thinks that I'm going to throw him. If I time this correctly, look what happens. That's a pop-up that allows me to actually get a combo on this character, right? And then when I get my pop-up, right, this causes a problem, right? Now, keep in mind, his startup time of his standing 2 is 8 frames, and his down 1, when he goes for his down 1, his hit advantage is 11 frames. So you kind of get the idea here. I can easily jail the opponent, and then I can get this combo on them if they disrespect. And you kind of get the idea. Like, they'll get full combo punish, or you're going to allow me to throw you. Or you could just block, which, probably will allow me to possibly stagger my forward 2 or something like that along those lines. You kind of get the idea here, right? Just experiment with that. So he is -4 on block, so you could definitely go for an Abari with a standing 1 or his down 1. 7 plus -4 is 11 frames, so obviously if Sub-Zero goes for like a forward 2 that starts up at 19 frames, or a back 1 that starts up at 14 frames, or a back 2 that starts up at 14 frames, or a back 3 that starts up at 13 frames, he can get hit every single time. You kind of get the idea here, right? And that'll allow me to take my turn back even though I'm -4 on block, right? So there's that. Now, something that I want to show you guys real quick, if you are wondering whether or not you can take it upon yourself to go for his back forward 3, right, to take another turn, you can't. See that? You get hit. I'm trying to go for Noob Saibot's back forward 3 and I keep getting hit, right? See that? I do it at close range, I get hit. If I do it probably right here, then I won't get hit. You see that? So just keep that in mind, right? Now, when it comes to his down 3 is his down 4, and his down 4 is his down 3. That's how I look at it, right? So the character is really safe on block. He has good amount of space. This down 3 is amazing, and when you space it out like this, he becomes -4 on block, which is really good, right? Now he can go for an Abari very easily on the opponent when he's -5 on block. He can go for his back 1 on the opponent if he predicts that they're going to take it upon themselves to throw out a certain button. So if we do like Noob Saibot's frame data, right? Say for example, we do Noob Saibot's back 1 that starts up at 9 frames. We do like 9 plus what? -5. That's 14 frames, right? So if I get Sub-Zero to go for his back 1 immediately like that, right? We're going to see what happens when I do this. He gets punished. See that? So you might want to learn what you can and cannot do in certain situations like that to punish the Sub-Zero player. If he was to go for his forward 2, he would get hit. So he more than likely would probably try to go for a down 4. So let's see what happens with that. See that? He can hit me, right? So, and you clearly see he can hit me. I can easily jump up and take my turn. So you kind of get the idea here. There's a lot of spacing going on, but if you time it correctly like that, you can catch the opponent every single time if you space out your down 4 correctly, or if you just go for your down 4 in general. You might want to be careful just trying to take another turn all the time, because if the opponent knows about the situation, they will take advantage of it. Now, what can Noob Saibot do off of this down 3? Can he take another turn? Question is, yes, he can more than likely take another turn. especially if the opponent goes for like, you know, a down 1, they'll get hit every single time. So I'm going to switch Sub-Zero back to the down 1 situation, and we're going to see exactly what happens. See that? He gets hit. See that? So if you try to go for a high, you'll get hit. If you try to go for a slow mid, you'll get hit. If you go for a slow low, you'll get hit. So you kind of get the idea with this particular situation. If you go for your down 4, obviously the opponent will get hit. So you kind of get the idea. So I highly recommend you experiment with this with every character in the game. You learn to match up with every character in the game, especially with this situation right here where he can space you out really well. So he has a good hit advantage, right, on his down 3. As you can clearly see here, the opponent doesn't go anywhere, they just get hit. So this allows the character to go for a 4-2. This allows the character to go for his back 3 if the opponent disrespects and stuff like that. You kind of get the idea here. He could do this and purposely whiff his back 1 on purpose after he just hit you, and you might end up getting caught up with the second hit of that. So you kind of get the idea with that particular situation. So let me go back here. There we go, I got that off. Nice. So if the opponent ends up blocking it, like I said, he's -5 on block. Startup time is 9 frames. When it comes to his down 4, however, he's -7. So take that under consideration, right? Now, when he spaces it out, he becomes -6 on block. You kind of get the idea with this situation. Now, he has a really good hit advantage on this. As you can clearly see here, 15 frames, 16 frames if I space it out, and you kind of get the idea. You can follow up with like a back 3, or you can throw out a projectile at the opponent if they, you know, try to jump or something like that. You kind of get the idea with his pokes, right? Now, there's one thing that I want to show you guys real quick, and it's when Noob Saibot goes for his down 1, right? Now, when I do this, I'm standing up and I get hit. When I try to neutral crouch, I get hit, right? When I try to backdash, I get hit. And that's another thing. His walk speed is pretty good. His backdash is okay, but his forward dash, he can get in somewhat quickly. Like, you can probably wave dash a little bit and get in a lot faster. That's another thing I want to talk about. But there's something that I want to show you guys, and it has something to do with like a hurt box. So my hurt box is obviously standing up right now. Let me show you guys. See what's happening here? My hurt box gets pretty much technically smaller, right? And you can take advantage of this every single time. So let's see what Sub-Zero's recovery is. 16 frames, which means what? I'm gonna take advantage of that, right? Now, there are other characters in the game that have a really good down 1 to where they can actually reach him, but characters who have a short range down 1 like Shang Tsung, Noob Saibot, I'm pretty sure there's other characters in the game that have a short range down 1, just like you know, Sub-Zero. Noob Saibot can take advantage of that every single time. So I go for a down 1, and look what happens. You get punished. So I can take another turn very easily because my hurt box seems to get smaller. See that? So if you guys don't believe me and you're not really convinced, I'll just do it at close range, and you'll see that I won't get hit, right? So let me actually go for the down 1, block. There we go. See that? See that shit? So this is a little trick that I want to show you guys, or I wanted to show you guys. So now, what else is there? Yeah, let's just move on to the next stuff that Noob Saibot has access to. Alright guys, so when it comes to Noob Saibot's teleport, right, he could do this in the air. That's the special thing about this teleport. Now he has another teleport where he could do this on the ground, and he could do it like this, right? So obviously you could jump up, hit him with a teleport. You can jump up, do this to them very easily. If you do catch the opponent in the air and you catch them, you can easily teleport. Use a bar meter if you want, get you solid damage for a jumping kick. So you kind of get the idea here. Now, when he goes for this teleport, it puts him at a certain position, which is right here. So he can easily dash up, throw you just like this, call it a day, or he could hit you with a back 1, which is, you know, obviously a mid, or he can hit you with a back 3 if he knows that you're going to disrespect, and he can fuck your shit up, or he could possibly whiff punish you. You kind of get the idea here. Now, if you try to zone him, you will get punished. Now, keep in mind, the move is a high. Doesn't matter if he does it on the ground or he does it on, you know, the air, right? Doesn't matter, right? If you block this, right, that's a free uppercut. If you neutral crouch because you don't want to take the chip damage, wait until he recovers. That's what happens. The Sub-Zero can go directly into his combo, you know what I mean, and then do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Kind of get the idea, right? Okay, cool. Now, He can use this to his advantage when he's zoning. Reason why is because if he's zoning you from far away, you're going to be so afraid of his teleport because he can get positional advantage to where he can whiff punish you and do all this extra shit based on what you do on wake up. So you kind of get the idea with that particular situation. He can also use this as a combo ender as well if he wants to. It's really up to Noob Saibot to do that. Or not Noob Saibot, but the player, excuse me. So you kind of get the idea with his teleport just in general. When it comes to his back 4-3, he's going to be using this to zone to a certain degree in this range. Now keep in mind, his projectile reaches 50% of the stage, right? Okay, cool. Now, if I'm right here, it whiffs. So if the opponent sees that it whiffed, I could take it upon myself to actually hit him with this, knock him down, and then I have the positional advantage yet again to where I can throw out a projectile, right? Nice. Now you can use this as a combo ender if you want, but mainly he can use this to make himself really safe on block. Now keep in mind the character is -8 on block, right? So as you can clearly see here, -8, right? Yeah, I mean, he can just make himself safe on his strings and, you know, zone you with this. He can use this as a combo ender. And I think that's pretty much it for this move. Now keep in mind, you're not able to neutral crouch the second hit, which is really confusing because it doesn't make any sense why they would add a high into that if you can't necessarily neutral crouch it. Now you can neutral crouch it if he whiffs this. That is a possibility, but at close range that's not the case, so that's kind of weird why, you know, you can't do that, but it is what it is, right? Now when it comes to his back forward one, which is his ghost ball, you lose a defensive bar and an offensive bar. Now if I put Sub-Zero on his breakaway, right, he could take it upon himself to break out of this, right? So let me actually turn this off. See that? He can break out of it very easily. Okay, cool. If I hit you with this, now you have to really be careful. Reason why? Because guess what? You can't break out of it now. And you still, look, you still cannot break out of anything just yet. So just imagine if I hit you just like this. That's free damage for me. You know what I mean? Especially if I go for a bigger combo on you and I'm in the correct range. Now, I'm trying to come up with creative setups so that way he can actually get this out because the startup time is really slow. So a fucking old lady can react to this shit. That's how easy it is to react to this. Obviously, the opponent's probably going to neutral crouch, which is the best way to beat it, is the neutral crouch. If you try to jump, you possibly will get hit, especially if you're like in this range and you try to jump. He might end up catching your ass with that move. Now, another way that you could possibly get this out is by catching your opponent off guard by doing it like this, right? Now, his hit advantage is 9 frames, which allows this character to either one, throw you, or hit you with his back one. If you disrespect, you will get hit. It's very simple, right? So I'm going to switch over here to Noob Saibot, and I'm going to hit Sub-Zero with this, and then I'm going to go for Noob Saibot's back one, and we're going to see if Sub-Zero can go for a down one. See that? You can punish him. Okay, cool. That's fine, right? I tried to down one and that acts as a counter. So I'm matching the down one and I literally got countered. So that would lead into a crushing blow, which obviously you don't want no part of. So overall, he is a zoner in this variation, but his zoning is very different from other characters in the game like Scarlet and Cetrion and Liu Kang and shit. He can't just constantly and rapidly spam projectiles from across the screen all day long. I feel like a good portion of his projectiles complement his spacing because this character is playing the game's meta. Whether you want to believe it or not. Yes, he is a zoner to a certain degree, but you don't necessarily have to zone with this character. You can go for your normals, certain combo strings that space you out really well, and these certain special moves, mainly his back 4-3, they complement his certain normals and certain combo strings that he has access to. So just keep that in mind, right? Because he's not like your typical zoner where it's like, oh yeah, I stay away, spam all day, keep doing this shit. Like, if you can clearly see, his startup time is really slow except for his back 4-3. So he can definitely space you out really well with certain normals. A clear example of this is like this string right here. If I was to go for my 4-2-2, a clear example of that is right there. But I'll get to his strings very shortly here. So now we're just going to move on to his special moves here. He has a shadow tackle, and obviously I already went over this. You kind of get the idea with that. But he has a rising shadow kick, right? So if the opponent took it upon themselves to, you know, jump in on Noob Saibot, right? And they try to jump in with a kick, he can hit them. Now, I tried to get a combo on the opponent, and I wasn't really successful. I might train a little bit more to see if I can actually get that going. But as you can clearly see here, like, he just knocked you far away, and that's a big deal. The reason why that's a big deal is because guess what? You're stuck in zoning territory, which is a big deal. Okay, that's a problem, right? So this can kind of cause an issue in itself. You know what I mean? Now, the character can take it upon himself to actually use this in combos. A clear example of this is the character doing something like this, and then he does whatever the hell he's trying to do, and you kind of get the idea with that, right? Now, When he goes for his back forward 2, he has access to a crushing blow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to go for his back forward 2. Now, the best way to get this out is by going for his back forward 3, which is his shadow slide, because it's a 2-hitting shadow move. Right now, this says triggers if you have connected with at least 10 shadow special moves. Now, keep in mind you can use this as a combo ender as well, and you're in the correct range to where you can dash up, possibly catch the opponent off guard, hit them with your back 3, and you kind of get the idea here, right? Cool. So I'm going to take it upon myself to have this on refill. So if we do 1, so that's 2, right? That's 2 hits right there, right? So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So when I go for my back forward 2 and I have the bar meter, of course, that's what happens, right? Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can clearly tell this takes a lot longer. So if we do the 2, 4, 6 thing again, because some people are probably thinking, oh, it's 2 hits. Okay, cool. Let's try that out. 2, 4, 6, 8, and this should be 10 right here. Doesn't work. See that? So you kind of get the idea here. His shadow slide is very important, especially for this crushing blow. I wish they would have made it to where if he hits you with like certain shadow moves like that, or certain shadow moves like this, or a shadow move like this, then he can get his crushing blow a lot more faster, which would be really good for Noob Saibot, at least in my opinion. But that's just how I feel about it, right? So you guys kind of get the idea with this character. He is a zoner, but he definitely has certain zoning tools that can help him out with spacing the opponent out mainly, because I do feel like this character relies on footsies and spacing mainly, and he excels in the mid-range engagement. So now we're going to get to you know, Noob Saibot's best far-reaching normals and his anti-air. Alright guys, so when it comes to an anti-air, you can go for Noob Saibot standing 1. As you can clearly see here, you can get a combo of your choosing, and then you can do whatever the hell you're trying to do, and then you can go for like a combo of your choosing, and you kind of get the idea here, right? Like you could definitely take it upon yourself to do that, right? His standing 1 is a decent anti-air. Another thing is that you can use his down back forward if you want to start up a zoning game with the opponent, but if you want more damage, then you can definitely get it just like this. Easy 25%, easy work, as you can clearly see here. So you can make it real difficult for the opponent, or you could switch sides with the opponent easily just by doing this. Now you might lose damage, but if your back is pushed into the corner, you can definitely do something like this. So a clear example of this is like Sub-Zero does that. Guess what? Now his back is pushed into the corner. You see that? So I'll get to that string very soon here. So you kind of get the idea with his anti-airs. Now when it comes to his best far-reaching normal, it would have to be his back 3. He is really minus on block, so if I do this at close range, he's minus 16. If I do it right here, he's minus 16. So you kind of get the idea with this particular situation. You could try and space it out if you want to. It's really up to you. But he's still really minus on block. See that? So it is possible for this character to stagger. Problem is that characters like Sub-Zero can make it really difficult for him to do that. Reason why is because his startup time is 11 frames on his icy slide, or whatever the hell you want to call it, and he can hit Noob Saibot. So this allows Noob Saibot to do this, right? Soon as the opponent thinks I'm going to stagger my back 3, they get hit, right? So this is definitely going to be a string that Noob Saibot goes for. A clear example of this is Noob Saibot blocking this. As you can clearly see, I spaced it out correctly, so it's 0 on block, so I'm going to have Sub-Zero just back up like this, right? He tried to space me out, and look what happens. My back 3 actually catches him. So you kind of get the idea with that particular situation. He can use this for spacing as well, so keep that in mind. Is that off? Okay, cool. So, like I said, he can use that for spacing. Keep in mind, every time he goes for that shadow slide and he amplifies it, he's minus 8 on block. He will always be minus 8 on block no matter where he is, right? On the stage, right? So keep that in mind. So this is definitely his best far-reaching normal. Now, when it comes to his back 2 has decent range. And as you can clearly see right here, I can reach Sub-Zero, right? So he's minus 5 on block. If I space it out just like this, I get a good amount of space. But if I do it like right here, I still get a good amount of space, but mainly right here, right? He has a down 3 that has good range on it as well. But when you're talking about a best far-reaching normal, it's mainly his back 3. He has a back 2 that has good range, a down 3 that has good range. And then certain combo strings have good range as well, but I'll get to those very shortly here. And you guys kind of get the idea of what his best far-reaching normal is, and certain other normals that have really good range on them, right? So now we're gonna get on, I believe is the last part of Noob Saibot, which is his combo strings. So let's get started on that. Alright guys, so when it comes to Noob Saibot's 112, it's a high mid overhead. Now he has a back forward 3 that complements his overhead. Now keep in mind his overhead is -3 on block, and if you flawless block it, you're gonna have no choice but to use a defensive bar and an offensive bar and go for your up 2 to punish him, because he stays -3 on block. Now he has a good amount of block stun, good amount of pushback, good amount of spaces. You guys can clearly see here to where he could press another button possibly, depending on what the opponent throws out, of course. And there's no flawless block gap whatsoever with his low. But if the opponent blocks the low, you're gonna have to use a bar meter because he's -20 on block. And then he gets a little bit of space here to where he's -8 on block, and he has a good amount of pushback here. So you kind of get the idea with that, right? Now, what does he get off of his low? He can either knock you down like that, or he could use a bar meter to knock you far away to reach, so that way he can zone you out a little bit so he can recharge his meter. Now, if he hits you with the overhead, right, that's a knockdown, to where he gets a high hit advantage of 17 frames, and that allows him to either throw you or hit you with a low or a back 1, and you kind of get the idea with that particular situation. Now, if he doesn't want to use his slide immediately, he can go for his 1-1-3 string, which his 1-1-3 string is good for combos. So a clear example of this is this right here, right? You think that I'm going to go for my 1-1-2, so you're so focused on flawless blocking, and then what happens here is that there's no flawless block gap, which means what? If the opponent gets hit with the last hit, this allows Noob Saibot to get, you know, a combo on them, like a small combo that does decent damage. He can go for his teleport if he wants to. If he has access to his crushing blow with his back 4-2, that's a lot of damage. You kind of get the idea here, right? Like, Noob Saibot can really hurt you, right? If you make the incorrect read. And the reason why I say he can really hurt you is because he's knocking you far away. And that's not good because you don't want to get zoned out, obviously. So you kind of get the idea with that particular situation. And like I said, he can use this stuff in combos. So when it comes to this, you're going to have to time this correctly in order to get it. And when you get it, you can fuck the shit up. Now, he can also use this in the corner as well for combos. He's going to have to go for that. And, you know, obviously, as you guys can clearly see here, he can fuck your shit up and call it a day, right? Like I said, another way he could do this in combos is like he could do something like this. And then he can do whatever the hell he's trying to do, and you kind of get the idea here, right? So that's pretty much what he could do with like his 1-1-3 string and his 1-1-2 string. But then again, there's one more thing that I'm leaving out, right? He can go for an Abari with a standing 1. He could do this and then do this again. So the way that he could do this is by going for his standing 1 and then immediately throwing you afterwards. So this creates a really good mind game for Noob Saibot because he can hit you with a 50-50 situation, and you don't know whether or not he's going to take it upon himself to throw you forwards or backwards. And then on top of that, you don't know if he's going to throw you anyway. And if you try to neutral crouch, you get hit with the second hit. Then he, instead of him going for his 1-1-2, right, or committing it to the last hit, which is that overhead, he can go for his 1-1-3 string, and then this will give him a decent amount of damage. So a clear example of this is like, let me see how I'm gonna do this here. Okay, there we go. He gets a little bit more damage, 24%. If I have access to my crushing blow, then that's really good because I'm getting even more percent. So he's just getting added damage, but if you get opened up, that's what's going to happen to you. This applies in the corner as well, because this means that if he catches you, right, with this, he can actually get a combo on you very easily. So you might want to be careful, but as you can clearly see here, for some reason, it's whiffing. That's actually really interesting, why it's whiffing like that. But yeah, right here, he can get a combo, call it a day, and you kind of get the idea with his 1-1-2 string and his 1-1-3 string. And one more thing to keep in mind is that he is -5 on block. So it is possible for this character to go for an Abare, depending on what the opponent is going to throw out. And depending on what you look like after you do the math with like his standing 1, which is 7 frames, or his standing 2, which is 8 frames and stuff. And you do the math for that when he's -5 on block. And like I said, he can go for an Abari very easily, or he could sit here and create a situation to where he could stagger, throw you, and you're going to think he's going to stagger, and then he ends up hitting you. So you kind of get the idea with both of these strings. They complement each other pretty well. So now we're going to move on to the last few strings that Noob Saibot has access to in his arsenal. Alright guys, so when it comes to Noob Saibot's back 1+3-2 string, as you can clearly see here, he is -17 on block. So that means that Sub-Zero could go for his slide very easily and punish Noob Saibot for doing what he just did. Doesn't matter if Noob Saibot spaces it out correctly, he will get hit, right? See that? Punish. If I do that close range, that's a damn for sure punish. And for certain characters, they can reach him at that range, so he has to be very careful throwing this out. Now, he has access to a crushing blow on this, where it says what exactly? Triggers if combo attack is a counter or punish, right? So there are creative ways that he can actually get this out. Now, he will be risking some damage on certain things that I'm about to show you guys, but this is highly effective, right? Especially when he doesn't have access to his crushing blow. Another thing to keep in mind is that he can use this in combos as well. And not only that, he can cancel directly into his fatal blow with this. Another thing is that he can actually go directly into a special move, any special move that he decides. And if you get the opponent so used to seeing you end your combo that way with like a back forward 2 or a back forward 3 or a teleport, you could probably catch them off guard with his back forward 1, and that will lead into like a reset situation to where you're really close to the opponent. So that's actually pretty good in itself, but don't try to do this all the time because the opponent will catch on to that and they will be looking for that. So just be careful, right? And like I said, he can use this in combos of his choosing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and you kind of get the idea. He can cancel into his fatal blow. Now, when he hits you with his crushing blow, he gets 31% and he knocks you way over there. Even with the meterless version of it, he gets like 14% and he knocks you way over there, which means what? Well, it starts up his zoning game, right? Which is 19 frames, right? Hit advantage, which that's really good because he can throw out a projectile before you can get up. Now, another thing he could do is he could dash up and look where he's at, which means what? He's in the correct range for his back 2 or his back 3, right? So you kind of get the idea with this particular situation. He could definitely space you out if you try to disrespect and stuff like that. So if he hits you with the crushing blow, if he doesn't want to throw a projectile at you, he can dash up really quickly and you're in the correct range of his back 3. So you kind of get the idea with this string. Now, one of the ways he can actually get his crushing blow to come out, and even if he didn't have his crushing blow, he can get a little mini combo on you, right? One way he could do this is by staggering his back 1, right? So a clear example of this is, you know, Noob Saibot going for his back 1, and you need to make sure you get the timing down so that way it looks somewhat. Hold on, let me see if I can get this real quick. Hold on. There we go. It looks like that, right? You have to wait until he recovers to a certain degree in order to do this, right? Now, he can space out his back 1 at certain ranges, like this right here. So I'm gonna have Sub-Zero block like this. And when he spaces it out, right, the opponent gets pushed back. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but he gets pushed back, right? So he could stagger this on purpose. The reason why he's going to stagger that on purpose is because you're stuck into a mind game because you don't know if he's going to commit into the full string or not. That's the problem. And if you make the correct read knowing he's going to commit into the full string, well, you can get a slide, and there might be certain characters that can reach him at this range. I'm pretty sure a collector could probably reach, you know, this character at this range with his standing 4. So that's actually a good thing. So like I said, he could stagger, and it is possible for him to go for a throw immediately if, you know, he times it correctly, because you're going to be so focused on seeing him go for the full string, you're going to be afraid to let go of that block button, right? Because you will get hit. So this is a way that he can get his crushing blow out, and if you're too late, he could definitely hit you again with this and then get a crushing blow, and you kind of get the idea with that. Now, when it comes to this character going for his back 1 right here, he can create a mind game in this mid-range engagement where, oh, am I going to whiff or am I going to commit into the full string? So this causes a serious dilemma in itself because you don't know whether or not he's going to commit into the string or he's going to stagger. So this is another way that you can actually do this. And if he catches you, he gets himself a crushing blow or he gets himself a combo. So a clear example of this is him doing it right here, and this is how much damage he gets. But he still gets decent damage to where he knocks you away like that. Now you did risk some damage, but you did catch the opponent, right? And you can obviously get a combo on the opponent if you catch them with this move, because they're going to think like, say for example, I stagger it like this, but then the opponent doesn't fall for it, and then they think I'm going to stagger it again, but then I go into the full string. Then what's going to happen here is that when I do this again, I'm probably going to come into the full string because they're probably going to think that I'm going to stagger this on the first try, just like I did in the beginning, right? And once you're so used to seeing me do that, you're going to fuck around and press a button, and I'm going to commit to the full string, and I'm going to hit you and get a combo, knock you far away, get some solid damage on you, start zoning you a little bit, or I could keep you close to me. It doesn't matter, right? So if the opponent knows that I'm going to stagger my back 1, and they think that I'm going to stagger my back 1, right, what's going to happen is they're going to try and press a button, right? So I change it up, and I go directly into the full string, and now that creates a good mind game. See that? So it's kind of hard for me to explain completely, but you kind of get the idea. You can kind of like stagger and then bait the opponent to do certain stuff, and you can take advantage of it pretty much. That's pretty much where I'm going with that. So I think this is everything about this string that I wanted to talk about, and now we're going to move on to Noob Saibot's 2-1-2 string. So his 2-1-2 string is meterless. He can get a combo on you just like this. Keep in mind, the character is -4 in block, but he has the ability to cancel. So keep that in mind, right? And keep in mind, it's a meterless launcher that gets him really good damage, especially in a corner, and he's -4 in block. So he's really safe. There's no flawless black gap in it whatsoever. Now, when he goes for a standing 2, he is -7, so it is possible to grab the opponent afterwards with his standing 2 if you mislead their timing. Because if you get them so used to seeing this, or you get them so used to seeing this, like, they're going to be so focused on that, and then you can end up grabbing them this quick, you know, just like this, and then they're going to be so focused on that, and then when they fuck up, they get hit with, obviously, the low. But I'm not saying that you should go for a grab every single time with Noob Saibot, because it is possible to go for a grab right here and create that mind game, but it doesn't stagger that well to where he can instantly just get a throw on you. You have to actually precisely time it just like this in order for that to work, to where he can get his 2-1 on you, right? Now, speaking of his 2-1, he gets a decent amount of space. So if Sub-Zero took it upon himself to go for a back 3, right? This is a problem. Reason why this is a problem is because he will get hit, right? So if I do this, look what happens. See that? So hold on. See that? He will get hit. So there is some spacing with Noob Saibot's 2-1. Keep in mind, he is -5 on block. So you might want to do the frame data with certain normals that he has access to, like his standing 2, his back 1, his forward 2, his down 1 possibly. You know, you kind of get the idea with this particular situation, right? So he can definitely space you out. It is possible for him to stagger this and then immediately throw you like this to create that mind game. It is possible, but don't do it all the time because he is -7, so it's not that great of a stagger, as you can clearly see here, right? When he commits into the full string, like I said, he's -4, so he can definitely go for an Abare on you very easily. Depending on what you throw out, right? Because a lot of the stuff that he has is actually really safe to where he can go for an Abare and he can apply that in a match, right? He can use this he could start up a combo with this mainly, right? So that's pretty much it. Another thing is that he can actually just do this if he wanted to, but then again, it's like, you know, how should I put it? He can get good chip damage on you, right? That's something that I want to show you guys. See this? There's no flawless block gap in this, right? And this applies for his 1-1 3-string as well. If you look at Sub-Zero's health, right? This character is literally taking a good amount of chip damage. Not only that, if I go for my 2-1-2, he's taking a good amount of chip damage. So this is something that I wanted to add about this string and his 1-1 3-string as well, is that he can get really good chip damage and there's no flawless block gap in it whatsoever. Even though this second hit is a high, you can't neutral couch it. So there's that, right? So I think that's pretty much everything with this string from my understanding of it. And when it comes to his forward 2-2 1 string, you're not going to commit into the last hit. Reason why is because you can't do it on block anyway, and he's -26 on block. What you mainly need to pay attention to is these 2 strings right here, right? Reason why is because when he goes for his forward 2-2 1 string, right, it pops the opponent up. Now he can use this in the corner to get a combo on the opponent very easily, so he can use his little rising shadow kick and then do whatever the hell he's trying to do, and you kind of get the idea with that. If he hits you with a crushing blow, he can actually take it upon himself to use this for a combo as well. You kind of get the idea here, right? Now, what's special about this combo string is his frame data and his forward 2-2, and I'm gonna show you guys why. When he goes for his forward 2-2 1 string, right, the character is -3 in block, so obviously you know what I'm about to say here. He could possibly go for an Abare depending on what you do to Noob Saibot. As long as you know the matchup and you know the opponent's patterns and you know exactly what they're trying to do, right? So you kind of get the idea with that. Now, when it comes to his forward 2-2, he is -6 on block. Now, he has no flawless block gap whatsoever in this at all. So he can space himself out really well, or he could take it upon himself to do this, and he is -6 on block. So you can press a button and go for what? An Abare. So it seems like he can go for an Abare like a lot depending on what the situation is, but this move is good because he can space you out really well. So if I space, now, before I show you guys that, he is -6, right? But his forward 2 is -1. So he can definitely throw you just like this, and this leaves your timing when you're blocking, because you're going to think that he's going to commit into like the 4-2-2, and this causes a problem. So if the opponent lets go of block, you already know what I'm about to say, they're going to get hit, right? Now, he can space out his 4-2 in the correct range, right? And when he does that, he becomes 0 on block. This is a big deal. Reason why this is a big deal is because this character can take it upon himself to go for his back 1 or his forward 2 again, depending on what you throw out. If Sub-Zero was to throw out like a back 3, I'm pretty sure my forward 2 would hit him because it starts up at 9 frames, and we pretty much got reset it. Like, anybody can press a button at this moment. Anybody, right? So, or I could backdash and possibly whiff punish you if I know you're going to press a button anyway. So there's that. So, the special thing about Noob Saibot is when he spaces this out, right, he gets a good amount of space, right? And this is really helpful against certain characters that excel at close range, because he can actually fuck their shit up just by spacing them out, because they don't really have good normals like that to challenge Noob Saibot. Liu Kang is a prime example of that. He doesn't really have solid normals like that to really challenge Noob Saibot when it comes to spacing. Not completely, but he definitely has like a flying dragon kick that can hit him if he tries to space him out and stuff. So he has to watch out from that. And it's just a complete mind game. And this applies to any character in the game. It's a completely, like, how should I put it? Matchups are very different. So you have to train against every character. You have to remember your frame data with that character. It's just a lot of shit to understand, right? So if I space it out, like I said, I get a good amount of space, right? And I can actually go directly into this and space them out even more, right? Now, something that's cool about Noob Saibot is that he can actually whiff his forward 2 on purpose and go for a standing 2. And this is what happens. He gets even more space, and he's -6 on block. So if you try to challenge him with a far-reaching normal in this area, like if you were Kotal Khan or something like that, I would easily get a crushing blow on you. If you were Sindel and you went for her forward 2 because you're trying to reach me at this range, I would punish her at the same. I would punish her too. So he could definitely use it for situations like this. He could purposely whip it, and the opponent might end up getting hit with this. So the opponent might be intimidated to press a button in that situation, because they'll be like, oh, he's probably going to come into the full strength. Then he stops, and then he backs up, and he does whatever he's trying to do. But like I said, you could definitely do something like that. So let me show you guys what happens. And keep in mind, there's no flawless block gap in this whatsoever. So let me show you guys. This is the reason why I say he excels in the mid-range engagement. As you can clearly see, there's no flawless block gap. See that? And he gains a really good amount of space to where he can space you out really well. So you guys kind of get the idea here. He can use this for combos. He can use this to space you out, mainly with his forward 2-2. He can actually stagger his forward 2 and go for a throw. And that causes a serious mind game in itself. So you guys kind of understand what's going on here with his 4-2-2, 1-2 string. You're not really going to commit into the last hit. Reason why is because he doesn't really get anything crazy off of it. As you can clearly see here, I wouldn't do it. You could do it if you want, but I wouldn't do it. So you kind of get the idea with that particular situation. And now when it comes to his back 3 1+3 string, this string is very special. Reason why is because he can side switch you very easily, or he can get a crushing blow on you. So if he wants Sub-Zero to go back in the same area where he was just at, he can switch sides with you just like this. And this is highly effective because if he kept, well, how should I put it? If he catches the opponent with the low right here, right, he could put Sub-Zero right back into the corner. That's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Right, especially if he flows blocks you, or you know, somehow he does like an uppercut crushing blow on you. He could sacrifice some damage, right, and he can switch sides with you. And sometimes switching sides with the opponent is a really good thing because you get the positional advantage. You're limiting their ability to move around the stage freely to where they have access to more space, and Noob Saibot can push Sub-Zero back with his spacing. You know what I mean? So you kind of get the idea here. He can side switch you. He has a crushing blow on this. And the way that crushing blow works, it says triggers if opponent with stand blocking, player cannot be in block stun. So he is -16 on block. Now, keep in mind, you could try and flawless block this, but you're not going to be successful because there's none whatsoever. So Noob Saibot can actually use this for spacing as well. So how should I put this? A creative way that you can get his crushing blowout is by trying to go for like a hop attack. So like you jump up, you do this, they think you're going to go for an overhead. You might be able to catch him off guard with that situation right there. There might be other creative ways that you can get his back 3 1+3 string to come out. Now, how should I put it? When it comes to spacing, you're going to have to learn matchups really well to figure out what the opponent can do to you, because every character is different and every matchup is different. So he could definitely space you out if he spaces out his back 3 a lot. He could stagger it too if the opponent's so used to seeing you go for special moves, and he can get away with the fact that, oh, I didn't go for a special move afterwards. And then the opponent's probably going to try and do something stupid. Then they get whip punished based on a teleport or something along those lines, right? So let's see here. Do I want to show you guys a clear example of this? Sure, why not? So a clear example of this is like Noob Saibot takes it upon himself to go for his back 3 right here. He knows Sub-Zero is going to throw out an ice ball. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to block at Sub-Zero, and I'm going to throw an ice ball as a reversal, and look what happens. I get hit. Now you know, Noob Saibot has the positional advantage, but I can bait him like this, and look what happens. He gets hit. I can put him into a combo of my choosing and call it a day. A way that Sub-Zero can actually counter Noob Saibot when he does this, he can go for a slide. You see that? So it's a mind game. It's a lot that you guys have to understand about this particular situation. But I think this is everything about his strings from my understanding of it. If I'm forgetting something or something like that, then I'll make an update video talking about this even further. But overall, Noob Saibot is not that bad. He's actually pretty good. He is actually playing the game's meta. He has really good spacing, really good little mind games that he can play. Like he can either stagger and then throw you, or he can stagger his back three and shit like that, you know, and space you out really well. He could definitely challenge people who try to space him out with his back three mainly. And, you know, if you don't know how to play footsies correctly, then Noob Saibot's probably not the character for you. I'm just saying that in general. You might as well just stick to a 50-50 character like Sub-Zero that's completely brain dead, right? So this character relies on the mid-range engagements. I think he relies on, you know, spacing. And overall, I don't think Noob Saibot is, like, bad, man. I think he's actually pretty decent for the most part. You could definitely do well with this character if you know matchups, if you know what you're doing, and stuff like that. You could definitely, you know, fuck the opponent's shit up, right? So you guys kind of get the idea with this. I probably will do some examples and post them up on my YouTube channel showing you guys what you can do off of his back three and different matchups, so that way you guys have a better understanding of how this actually works. But overall, his strings, he's not too much of a mix-up character. He's more of a footsie / spacing out type of character. Now he can zone from far away, but his zoning is not like other character zonings like Cetrion or, you know, Scarlet, like where they can constantly spam shit at you. Like, no, his projectiles and shit complement the fact that he can space you out like this. He can use certain strings to space you out as well. Like like his zoning complements his normals and his combo strings. That's pretty much where I'm getting at with that. But overall, this is all I really have to say about Noob Saibot. I don't think he's necessarily a bad character. He's pretty interesting when you actually take a look at the character and see what he can actually do. Like I said, if I am missing something, then you guys can talk about it in the comment section down below, or, you know, I'll probably make an update video talking about it. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Fatality. Noob Saibot wins. Flawless victory.